there will be a short delay of flight.
Welcome to another edition of Coffee and Beats. I am your musical barista, Rod the Magnificent, and I'm back with another episode. And as you can see, I got a little different setup, a little bit more intimate than usual. I'm not in a cafe, but at the same time, I'm just trying to do some things different. I got a new setup, and so I'm ready to embrace it. I hope you are too. What do you think of the setup? Let me know in the comment section the new format that I'm going to be doing. No green screen, all that good stuff. So it is what it is, but I like it, and I think it fits the mode here. But as you can see, I got a black hoodie on today, and that's just going to be something new that I'm going to be doing here when I review an album that wasn't quite so good. And so I'm going to get into it with this album review. As you can see in the thumbnail, I'll be reviewing the new Will Smith based on a true story album. Is his first album in 20 years. But before I get into that, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and share this with your loved ones, because I'm sure they will all love to hear this. Now, I also have a Patreon exclusive review, well, not necessarily review, but a rant on Patreon, and it's involving Doechii. And if you are a Doechii fan and you're interested in hearing my thoughts and opinions on her situation, click that link down below. You'll get that episode in my Patreon. I won't be posting that here on YouTube. But let's get into this album review of the new Will Smith project. And here we are, 20 years later, reviewing a new album by Will Smith. And I must say, I was a little caught off guard by this new release. I heard about the release 2 weeks prior to its official drop, and I was like, man, Will Smith coming out with a new album. I mean, hey, I am not mad at it. Last year we saw the likes of MC Lyte, LL Cool J, Common, and even though it wasn't a big gap with Common had a bounce back year with his combo album with Pete Rock. Talib Kweli dropped an album. There are a lot of like old head, quote unquote, as this new generation likes to mention to us unks out there, that older rappers, the older generation of rappers, are coming back and wiping off the dust, so to speak, on that pen and paper, and getting back into the lab and getting back behind the mic and putting together very good albums. I thought LL's album that he dropped last year was pretty good. Also, MC Lyte dropped an album last year that was pretty dope. So here we have Will Smith getting a crack at it. There are some freestyles that he dropped prior to the release of this album that were pretty good, actually. They were pretty impressive. Kind of shows that Will still got it. You know, he still can put words together in rhymes. Now, whether he's dropping fire bars, I'll leave that up to you all. I thought they were pretty decent. You know, it was nice from Will behind the mic. But now let's start off with this. I respect the transparency here with Will Smith. Will ain't really trying to be something he's not, and he opens up about his past mistakes on this album. He addresses the slap, he addresses the fame. He also talks about the pressures that he faced after being banned by the Oscars, and also he addressed a little bit about his relationship with his wife, his current wife, Jada Pinkett. He didn't really get into fantastic details about their relationship, the current state of their relationship on his album. So if you go into this record looking for something like that, well, you're gonna be sadly disappointed. But it starts off with "You Looking for Me," which I think is a great opener. Starts off with a nice boom bap beat. It's Will Smith, here we go again, here I come, I'm back. It's his I'm Back song, you know what I mean? And then the beat switches up, and then he gets into this whole, he gets into that little type of style, or this Kendrick Lamar type of delivery that I'm gonna get into in a minute, just a bit. But I thought it was a good opener for the album. And then there are skits. Jazzy Jeff makes an appearance on here. He also has some production credits on this album. It starts off with a barbershop, opening, and B. Simone's in it. It's a nice little way to introduce us to the album. What really irritates me about this project is these unfunny cuts of Will Smith sounding like a reverend, and he's giving these sermons throughout, and it gets kind of lame after a while. Just starting to find myself get irritated. It kind of cut off the flow of the album. Then he has Rave in the Wasteland, which I don't really care for the chorus on that one, but I think he delivers lyrically on it. And then Bulletproof, which it's nothing to write home about. And then we have a Wasted feature by Tiana Taylor, Hard Times, and yeah, he addresses some things that he went through. He opens up, he gets a little personal on this track, but it's just nothing to really jump off the table. And I haven't been reading up on a lot of reviews of this album from other critics, but one thing that I am noticing so far with this album is that we have a serious Will Smith throughout this project. You're not going to get the Big Willie style Will Smith. So if you're going to this album looking for that, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get the fun-loving, jolly, Will Smith here that he was on his projects back in the 90s. You're getting a more mature sounding Will. You're getting a more Will that has went through some things, okay? Which, hey, I appreciate about this particular record. But things pick up with Beautiful Scars. He picks up the bars with Big Sean, and Big Sean, you can tell he's kind of like not really putting his foot on the gas pedal here, trying not to really outshine or out rap Will Smith on this one. And I thought it was a pretty good feature. I thought it was a pretty good song. The production is good on it, and then he follows up with Tantrum with Will Smith and Joyner Lucas. I'm not a huge Joyner Lucas fan. I've always felt like Joyner was kind of like riding a wave of different artists. Rap artists like J. Cole. One album he wants to sound like J. Cole, the next album he to sound like Drake. But lately he's been coming into his own. Lyrically, I think he's found his lane in regards his delivery is not sounding like a duplicate of someone else. Here, Will Smith, he's keeping up with Joyner Lucas. There's some points in this album like trying to figure out, okay, which one is Joyner right now? Is it Will or is it Joyner? But then when you really break down the lyrical content, of course, you can separate the two. And you could tell Will is trying to keep up. It's almost like he's trying to race the fastest track runner, trying to keep up, but he's just running out of breath. And that's how it sounded on this track, Tantrum. He was just trying to chase Joyner Lucas. And then there was a part where they were going back and forth, trading rhymes. And I thought that is the area in the song that Will Smith felt more comfortable, because he had time to catch his breath. But when Will gets into this and he's trying to do this for like long periods of time, to me that's not impressive. Will, just drop some bars, just drop a hot 16 and we're fine with that. The parents just don't understand Will Smith, where he's having fun. That's long gone on this album. Okay, all you're gonna get is Will trying to prove that he's got bars after bars after bars, and they fall flat. Sometimes they just fall flat. There's moments in the rhyming and you're like, oh yeah, this is, Will's got me. And then he'll say something else. He'll say another bar that you just be like, oh, come on, Will, that was kind of corny. You know what I mean? So, and you get a lot of that throughout this particular project. Then, there's a couple of duds. I did like First Love. First Love was a good track, kind of dedicated to his love for music, things of that nature. I thought, that was a good 3 straight rounds of music that we got from Will. And then he has a track with Sunday Service Choir, You Can Make It, which is it's okay, but then he sticks the landing quite well with the last track of the album, Work of Art, which features Russ and Jaden, who he spits an okay verse at the end, but Russ steals the show in this one, and I thought Will did a decent job of carrying the song. So overall, how do I feel about this new album by Will Smith? Well, I would just say it was nice to finally hear Will behind the mic. He's not terrible by any stretch of imagination. I've heard way worse rappers than Will Smith. He shows that he still has it, and some of the features I felt were kind of wasted on here, but there were some features that came through in the clutch. Like I said, Big Sean came through, Joyner Lucas had a good feature, Russ, and even Tiana Taylor, even though I didn't really care for the Hard Times song, I thought she did well on the chorus. But after a couple of listens, I just gotta keep it real. I don't see myself coming back to this album. I didn't have high expectations going into it. For folks that grew up watching Fresh Prince, Men in Black, folks who want to hear from an icon reflecting on his journey, this is the album for you. But as far as the experience is hit or miss, as far as the production wise, and again, some of Will Smith's bars on here, they're struggle bars. There's struggle bars all over this one. But other than that, I'm gonna give this one 2.5 cups out of 5. Yes, this one, I wasn't really wild about this project. But what are your thoughts? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say about this one. I'll be down there with you in the chat, and I'm glad that you were able to sit back and relax and listen to a nice album review of the new Will Smith project. I have more episodes to come, more reviews to come as well, so stay tuned. But until then, when it comes to coffee, when it comes to music, stay grounded for life. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.